New questions tonight after the CALL7 investigators reveal the exam every Colorado police officer must pass is compromised. Many of the test questions readily available in a study guide. And it's the state attorney General John Suthers who oversees the board that issues the test.
He refused to answer our questions by phone, so CALL7 investigator John Ferrugia went to talk to him in person.
Mr. Suthers, John Ferrugia, how are you? Yeah, I've been trying to call you for several days. We caught up with the Attorney General after work to talk about a study guide for the police certification test. It's known as the BACA book.
I knew there was a BACA book some time ago.
Right.
I did not know that so many of the questions, although not all of them, so many of the questions from the book were in the exam.
Our investigation uncovered that many questions and answers in the BACA book's practice exams are in fact the exact questions on the state test. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Phil Baca, a former police chief, wrote the book and sells it online for $75. But what is troubling is that until January of this year, Phil Baca chaired the curriculum committee of the Peace Officers Standards and Trading Board. That's the committee charged with selecting and writing the questions for the state exam.
This becomes a cheat sheet. And I can pass this test and know nothing about it. I can memorize these questions.
You can certainly look at those questions and get them all right on the test if that's what you're asking. If those are all on the test, you'd get them right.
After state officials learned of verbatim questions on the test, they moved to change the exam. But Suthers does not see a serious problem with Baca profiting for years from his study guide.
The stuff is in my book and I'm selling it. I'm making money off this exam. That's not a crime?
That's not a crime. I think there's an appearance of impropriety. I think there's a conflict of interest.
But you don't think there's impropriety. You keep saying appearance. There's no impropriety. I think most people would think, sitting in their living rooms, this is a big impropriety when the chairman of the curriculum committee is selling the questions.
To this day, I don't know the extent to which Phil Baca, I don't think he knew exactly how many questions he supplied were in the...
He told me he did. This section on the federal code
All right.
is verbatim.
You know why? I wrote that. And you know why? I wrote that. Those are my questions, and the state uses those questions. I can tell you that exactly.
But I mean, you know they're on the test.
Yeah, I know they're on the test.
How do you know they're on the test?
They told me they were on the test.
Baca doesn't even believe it was a conflict of interest because he claims he wrote the questions for his study guide and then supplied them for the post-test.
You don't see that as an issue?
Oh, I see it as an issue. That's why we stopped it, John. But I don't see it as a crime, no.
Baca also claims his resignation from the curriculum committee in January had nothing to do with the Baca book controversy.
Time was up. You know, I'd served on that committee since early 2000s. That's why I left. You know, if you're insinuating that they asked me to resign or there was pressure to resign, that's not true.
Did you ask him to resign?
My recollection, you have to talk to my recollection is we said we can't tolerate this conflict. He was frankly offended that his integrity was being questioned and resigned.
Meanwhile, Suthers says he doesn't believe test problems compromised the officers who took the test, even though they had questions and answers in advance.
Do you think that there's no issue that you need to retest people?
No, I don't think we need to retest people.
Sources familiar with the post-board internal deliberations say neither Suthers nor his deputy AG told the board that the test and study guide had identical questions, only that they were similar. Instead of focusing on Baca, sources say, the AG focused on a staff member who he said compromised the test by emailing a copy to 2 police candidates. Our investigation continues. I'm John Ferrugia, 7 News.
If you have a story idea for the investigators, call 303-832-7777 or email call7@thedenverchannel.com.